Good evening. It is my honor and privilege to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Vasundhara Filiosa, Ms. Kapila Vatsayan, Chairman INTAC Major General L.K. Gupta, Member Secretary Dr. C.T. Misra, P.A. Silva Filiosa, and all the distinguished guests present here to the 11th Pupul Jaikar Memorial Lecture, which was started to honor the memory of Srimati Pupul Jaikar, one of the founding members of INTAC and whose passion for heritage preservation is well known. May I now request Dr. Filiosa, Chairman INTAC Major General L.K. Gupta, and Member Secretary Dr. C.T. Misra to please come up on the stage. Now may I request Chairman and Member Secretary INTAC to welcome Dr. Filiosa with flowers and a set of publications of the earlier Pupul Jaikar Memorial Lectures. May I now request Chairman INTAC to please formally introduce the guest speaker.
Kapila ji, founder member of INTAC, Sri Rajiv Sethi, members of INTAC, dear ladies and friends, I welcome you to this 11th edition of Pupul Jaikar lecture, which is delivered on the World Heritage Day, that is 18th of April. Pupul Jaikar Memorial Lecture is to commemorate Srimati Pupul Jaikar's contribution to the preservation and promotion of India's handloom and handicraft heritage, which is very well known and for which she was awarded the Padma Bhushan in 1967. Srimati Jaikar ji guided INTAC first as Vice Chairman and then as Chairman, and laid a strong foundation for the growth of INTAC. INTAC has been actively involved with the Hampi Heritage Site, and INTAC's efforts contributed to the formation of the Hampi World Heritage Area Management Authority. INTAC has been a part of the constant debate on the way ahead for this remarkable World Heritage Site that we have, and INTAC's contribution has led to a destination development plan for the Department of Tourism in Karnataka, highlighting the conservation needs, community participation, skill development, along with focus on ecological sound tourism, as Hampi is an important natural heritage site. To promote the architectural cum environmentally fragile site of Hampi, INTAC has produced a guidebook on the birds of Hampi, prepared a map of Kishikanda Trail, and provided inputs on the basic systems of sanitation and protection of indigenous trees. INTAC's presence at Hampi is strengthened by our chapter at Hampi at Anigundi, because Tungabhadra River divides this site into two, Anigundi and Hampi. INTAC is also agitating against heavy interventions involving any new initiatives that we feel we should make haste slowly instead of just making heavy interventions in that site, and which may not be good for the site ultimately. So we are also agitating against this unnecessary heavy interventions in that site. We are very happy today to have a talk on Hampi as part of the Pupul Jaikar Memorial Lecture by the renowned scholar Dr. Vasundhara Kawal Filizot. To let you know, Vasundhara ji is a daughter of Dharwad in Karnataka. She has been aiding our INTAC chapter at Dharwad to set up a museum, despite the fact she's in France, but she has been helping INTAC in its various activities. She's an historian of art and an epigraphist, and she works alternatively in India to explore the architectural and literary past of her mother country, that is India, and in France, to encourage knowledge and appreciation of culture and civilization of India in general, and Karnataka in particular. Her works have been acknowledged and honored with an award by the government of Karnataka in 2003, and in 2004, she was honored by the Vasundhara Performing Arts Center Trust for outstanding contribution in the field of arts, culture, and literature. She was elected president of the 22nd Congress of the Karnataka History Academy in 2008. Since 2012, she has been organizing a Sanskrit Day in Paris in collaboration with Maison de l'India under the patronage of the Indian Embassy in Paris. She has authored more than 26 books and numerous articles in Kannada, English, and French, including Vijayanagar Chronicles from 1520 to 1880, with the help of the National Book Trust, Delhi. This book is prescribed as one of the source books by the University of Delhi for the medieval Indian history of India. I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Vasundhara ji on your behalf, and I invite her to deliver her talk to us. Thank you.
Namaskar, and I'm very happy to be with you today, and I'm immensely honored by the INTAC for this invitation. So I thank the member, the chairman of INTAC, Dr. Gupta, Major General L.K. Gupta, and the brain behind this was that Dr. Kanchan Mukhopadhyay, our friend, and she said that I should be invited, so I thank her. And all the men, if you have not come there, what would have been my lecture? What's the use of my lecture? So I thank you all for coming, and I hope I will not bore you for a long time. And now I tell you that if today Hampi is on the World Heritage List, we should be thankful to Dr. Kapila Vatsayana. I'll tell you how she is responsible for this. Because I'll tell you how the history and how the Hampi came on the World Heritage List. You may not be knowing all this. And in 1985-86, being a historian, I'll tell you the history of how it came on the World Heritage List. In 1985-86, there was a there was an India festival in France. And the luck would have it, India government was proposing the name of Hampi for the World Heritage List. And at that time, Dr. Kapilaji and Dr. M.N. Deshpande, they were in the committee of this India festival. And I told Dr. M.N. Deshpande that I would like to hold an exhibition on Hampi ruins, photo exhibition, photo and drawings. And he said, you write to us, we will help you. And Kapilaji was the chairman, and she graced my application, and I got about 25,000 rupees grant. In 85, it was a big grant, and that was converted into French francs, is 18,000 francs. And in that, we were able to hold an exhibition of 120 photos of different sizes. And my husband had done many drawings of Vithala Temple in Hampi, and his aquarels, and a big map. And at this time, when Archaeological Survey of India, through India government, was proposing the name of Hampi for the World Heritage List, they were proposing only group of monuments in Hampi, not the whole site. And the luck would have it, when we prepared the exhibition, all the exhibition, the photos and all that for the exhibition, I couldn't get a hall in Paris, anywhere in Paris, except in that ICOMOS hall. When Veneral Shobita, who was a Buddhist monk, he told me that in the ICOMOS, there is a beautiful hall, you ask them, and they hold it. And ICOMOS is the center which studies these proposals from different countries, and they propose to the UNESCO that such and such a place should be written on the heritage list. And when the India government was proposing group of monuments of Hampi, they were sending a few photos and maps from Longhurst Hampi Ruins book and some such things. Very hush-hush information they were giving. So the ICOMOS was very disturbed. How to, we are not able to understand what is Hampi and what are these groups of monuments. So at that time they contacted Musegime. Musegime is a museum for Indian art and Southeast Asian arts. So they said, we have the same material, we can't help you, you contact Mr. Filiosa. And they contacted Mr. Filiosa, and Mr. Filiosa said, not me, but my wife works on Hampi, so you come to us, and she will help you. So when they came, we gave them this map. This is a big map, but for publication it is reduced to this size. And we have done this map with the help of some aerial photo and going on the site step by step. And when we see a monument, without little means, we are now working. We don't ask any grants for anywhere. Whatever is possible from our pocket, we spend and we do it. So from one monument to another monument, how many steps we have walked, and on the basis of that, we have arranged this one. So as a result, there are 12 big monuments with their bazaars and all that, and many small mandapas and small temples in ruins. As a result, we have more than 500 monuments on the site. We have to study these and we have to preserve them. And after the meeting, the India government was not accepting that the UNESCO, ICOMOS and UNESCO decided that they will take the whole site of Hampi. But still, India government was not accepting it. At that time, ICOMOS told us that India government is not accepting it. So I wrote to my professor in Dharwad, Dr. J.S. Dikshit, and then he had a friend from Hassan who was a MP, and he was a good friend of P.V. Narasimha Rao. So he wrote to P.V. Narasimha Rao, and immediately P.V. Narasimha Rao accepted. So this is how Hampi came on the World Heritage List. You see? But still, in India, they were very stubborn. They were not accepting it. And they were saying group of monuments, and everywhere they were putting these boards, India Heritage, Hampi is on the heritage list. So when I told this to UNESCO, they said, we are going to put, if they continue this, we are going to put Hampi in the danger list, so tell them not to put these boards. So they stopped it. But still it was. And in 1998, when I went to Hampi with a few friends, because there was some politics took place and I stopped going to Hampi. But in 1998, some of my friends, they wanted to visit Karnataka. I went there and I was shocked to see that they are building bridges on the site of Hampi for crossing the river, because it is on the banks of Tungabhadra River, and on the other side Anegundi is there, and in Anegundi there were illegal centers. I don't tell you what it is. And for the traffic of these illegal centers, they were building these bridges, because we cross the river by boats, these Harigolu, small boats. I'll show you the picture. And at nights, they don't row the boats. So for the facility of visitors to go to Anegundi, they were building. Again, I took objection, and I wrote to the UNESCO. And UNESCO put Hampi on the danger list, and something happened. And one bridge was removed from the site. And then, but the second one, they were very great politicians, very strong politicians, strong-headed politicians. They didn't want to plan. And in spite of all that, after 10 years, they got the permission to complete it, and God Virupaksha protected himself by collapsing the bridge. So this is, and at that time, when I gave this paper to all of them, and I said, look, Hampi is not a group of monuments, whole site is there. Then they became aware of it, and now they are aware that whole of Hampi is on the heritage list. This is how Hampi came on the heritage list. So all the thanks should go to Madam Kapila Vatsyayan. Now I'll start my lecture, and I tell you that whatever I tell you, maybe it will shock you, and so please excuse me. First of all, you know about Vijayanagara Empire. The name of the empire was not Vijayanagara. It starts with that. And when there is no empire such as called Vijayanagara, then we don't have, there is no need of having Vidyaranya. And if Vidyaranya is there, is not there, then upon whom goddess Bhuvaneshwari will shower gold. So these are the... So then, but empire existed. How is it? If there is no Vijayanagara Empire. So the name of the empire was not Vijayanagara. It was the name of the empire was Karnataka Samrajya, Karnataka Empire. It starts with that. And the name of the capital was Vijayanagara. But how this misnomer came into the usage is that in 1495, when the Portuguese came to India and they went to Vijayanagara, came to Karnataka, they saw this big empire, and they were unable to pronounce this name, Karnataka. So that time, this second dynasty of the empire, Salva Narasimha, was on the throne. So they called the empire as Narsanga. And the capital, here they called it Bisnaga. Vijayanagara was too difficult for them to say. And so Bisnaga became a very popular word in Europe. And in 1565, after the Battle of Talikota, this empire fell, and it was the whole of the empire was separated into different kingdoms, and vassals became independent, so like this. And the name of Narsinga was forgotten. So they started employing the name of Vijayanagar for the empire. And they forgot the name of Karnataka or Narsanga, everything. And in 1792, when James Runnell was trying to make a map of India, at that time he wanted to position the Vijayanagara Empire. And in some papers he reads Narsinga, and in some papers Vijayanagara. And he said, what is were there two kingdoms, Vijayanagara and Narsinga, or was it one? And finally he decided, okay, Vijayanagara king defeated Narsinga and he made a Vijayanagara Empire. This is how we get the documents. And how this Karnataka Empire came into existence, that I told you there was no Vidyaranya, and I insist upon that fact, because in the legend it is said that Vidyaranya, first king Harihara, he went on hunting and with his hound, and he was chasing hare, and that hare at one spot returned and bit the hound. And he was very stunned, and there he meets the Swami called Vidyaranya. In some documents it is Vidyajuna. And he met him, and Vidyajuna told him, you build a pura there. And this is misinterpreted, and they said it is build a kingdom. He said, no, build a kingdom there. And this is Vidyaranya, and Vidyajuna is identified with Vidyaranya. Why Vidyaranya? But it is legend. And this story is told in some fake copper plate grants, and some later literature. And why he was not there, I tell you, because his first name was, earlier name was Madhavacharya. He was a disciple of Vidyatirtha, who was a pontiff of Sharda Pitha at Sringeri. He was Sharda Pitha at Sringeri, and he was a disciple. And how we know all this? Because Madhavacharya, when the empire comes into the existence, stable state, he becomes the minister of first king of the empire, and also his preceptor. And he writes a book called Purana Sara. And in Purana Sara, in the last chapter, at the colophon, he says he is the minister of Harihara the first. He says, Hariharasya mantrina Madhavacharyena kritam. So he is the minister of Harihara the first and Madhavacharya. And then same Madhavacharya, he writes, when Bukka, the second king, comes to the throne, he becomes his minister and preceptor. And during that period, he writes another book called Parashara Madhava, Parashara Smriti Tika. So he writes a Tika for Parashara Smriti. And in the colophons, he says he is the minister and preceptor of Bukka the first. And in this Parashara Smriti, very often he quotes the slokas and text from Purana Sara. From this, we understand that for Purana Sara and this Parashara Smriti Tika were by one and the same person. If it were by somebody else, the author would have cited his name. He doesn't take the name. In Purana Sara, it is said like this. In Purana Sara, we have said like this. So that means the two books are from the same person. And then in the third work is Jivan Mukti Viveka. And Jivan Mukti Viveka, we all know that it is Vidyaranya's book, Vidyaranya's Kriti. And in that Jivan Mukti Viveka, in the 11th sloka, he says, we have already explained two kinds of sannyasa in Parashara Smriti, and now we'll take up the two more, Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya. And since he says that we have already explained, those two are already explained, that means this Jivan Mukti Viveka and Parashara Smriti are by one and the same person. So like this, from his own works, we come to know that Madhavacharya became Vidyaranya. And he was at the time of this coming of starting of the new empire, there was no Vidyaranya. It was Madhavacharya who was there. And I'm not the first to tell this one. Right from Mahamohopadhyay, Dr. P.V. Kane, it started, that Madhavacharya, identifying Vidyaranya with Madhavacharya. And also his brother, Sayanacharya, who had written many commentaries on Vedas and all that. And he's in all the books, in all his commentaries, earlier commentaries, he says, Madhaviye Vedartha Prakashe. That is because Madhava, in the beginning, he says, Bukka tells Madhavacharya to write commentaries, and Madhavacharya says, no use, entrust this work to my brother Sayanacharya. So he gives all this. And in his Taittiriya Upanishad commentary, he doesn't mention all these things. And at the end, he says, Madhava Vidyaranya Sambandhi Vedartha Prakashe. So that means Madhavacharya has become Vidyaranya. So from these four works, these are contemporary works. So from these works, we come to know that Madhavacharya became Vidyaranya. And why this story came up, Vidyaranya's story, and why he became so famous, that it was at this time, I should take the date now, 1336, that was Dhatu Samvatsara, 1258, Shaka 1258, Dhatu Samvatsara. This Faisal Ballala III, who was the last surviving king of Karnataka, the Hindu king, was went on checking the northern frontiers of his kingdom, which were very much open to these alien invasions. Why it happened, it was like this, means from 1295, Muslims started invading the South India. And the South Indian kings were not aware of it. So each one tried to face individually. And when they tried to face this strong invasion of aliens from north, they were not able to stand it. So all of them fell like card castle of cards. And the only surviving king was Faisal Ballala III of Karnataka. But whole of this, there were Sevunas Devagiri, and they were saying that Hoysala Ballala is the king of Karnataka. So that's how Karnataka was very much known in those days. And this Hoysala Ballala III, he was trying to chase the Muslims from South India. He was not against the Muslims, but he was against Muslim domination on the South Indians. This is very important, because when I say that he was against Muslims, people think that he was against Muslims. He was not against the Muslims, but he was against Muslim domination on South Hindu kingdoms. So he was very much occupied, busy in chasing the Muslims from the south. And at this time, there was one small chieftain called Kampilaraya. And he was holding this Hampi region, and he was playing mischief with different small kingdoms. So in 1325 CE, Hoysala Ballala attacks him, and it is said in the inscriptions, he was stabbed to death. And they stab him to death, and then Hampi comes under the control of Hoysala Ballala III. And he had a son called Ballala IV, and his original name is Vijaya Virupaksha Ballala. And the Hampi, when he took Hampi, he named the capital as Vijaya Virupaksha Ballala Pattana. And next to that, there was some flat region, and where he built a new town and calls it Hosapattana. And that is how in the inscriptions we get Virupaksha Hosapattana, Ballala Virupaksha Pada, etc. And so that is how Hampi becomes Hosapattana, Hampi Virupaksha. And its original, its original name was Virupaksha Tirtha. And then it becomes Hampi, Pampa, and Pampa in Sanskrit it becomes Hampi. There's a whole story about it. So that is how Virupaksha Pattana was, this Hampi became the capital of Ballala III and Ballala IV. And in 1342, and Ballala III, or not in 1340, Ballala III, after his visit to his northern frontiers, he must have met this Vidyatirtha, the pontiff of Sharda Pitha Sringeri, and he must, Vidyatirtha must have advised all the Hindus that we must have one Hindu empire for the whole of South and under one banner, and we should have only one king to face these alien invasions. And since Ballala was there playing a main role, so the empire was called Karnataka Samrajya. And in this connection, he must have told Madhavacharya to make a campaign, to go on a campaign and convince people to support this Hindu king, and after him there will be new kings, and they should support them. They should revolt against them, but support them. So all those who were there, they were the vassals and relatives of Hoysala kings. So they all came to convince him, support him. And like this, the plan for the new kingdom was drafted, and new kingdom starts. And there was no foundation of the empire, nothing. It was a succession from Hoysala kingdom to this new Karnataka empire. That is how Karnataka empire. And this Karnataka empire was covering whole of South India from Krishna to Cape Comorin and the two oceans to the east and the west. Can we show the photo? This is one of the areas in Hampi, and you see how it is. So if you want to have an aerial view of the whole site, you have to go up on the top of this hillock. There are steps. It's not very difficult. There are about only 600 steps or something. You have to go up, and you will have a beautiful view of the site of Hampi. So next one, please. This is the map of Hampi, prepared by James Runnell. And he was not able to place where is Hampi. So this is, he had showed it as Bisnaga. Yes, Bisnaga, Bijanagelia. There were many names, Bijanagelia, Bisnaga. And This is my, this book is in my private collection, and it was from my father-in-law's collection. And when he has bought this book, somebody had already written Carnatic. Where is it? Oh. Yes. So this is the capital of Carnatic, he has written. So this is Hampi. And when he was making this map, preparing this map, he goes to Hampi and he asks people, what is this town, what is the name of this town, why there are so many ruins? And the people say that it is Halepatna, old town. They have forgotten the name of the capital, and all of them then. Look at the irony. The name of the capital was applied to the empire Vijayanagara, and the name of the capital was forgotten. Where it was called really Vijayanagara, it was forgotten. And James Runnell, by reading the reports of other cartographers of his time, then he understood that this must be Vijayanagara, the capital of Karnataka. And he writes it. And he also writes another important fact in his book, that map of Hindustan. And he says that when Hampi was, when British were sharing this, distributing the places to different kingdoms and different kings and different rulers, Marathas were very having an eye on Hampi. They wanted to have it in Maharashtra. And then this Nizam, he was saying, Anegundi is already in Nizam's dominion. Why don't you give Hampi also? Because they were twin cities. And at that time, Tipu comes to the picture, and he says it was the capital of Karnataka empire, so it should remain in Karnataka. And today, if it is in Karnataka, Hampi is in Karnataka, we should be thankful to Tipu. Although he was a Muslim, but people don't want to accept this fact, but it is a fact. It's in the documents. Next one, please. So this was the Karnataka Samrajya from here to here. And in Gulbarga, the new Muslim kingdom starts, Bahmani kingdom. And there also they say that he was the first ruler of Bahmani kingdom. He was serving for a Brahmin called Hasan Gangu, and Hasan Gangu told him to establish a new empire against these Hindus. But it's not true. Hasan Gangu comes from Iran, and his master was called Kangu, and by mistake they made it Gangu, and they have made all kinds of stories of that. And so the new empire comes. Next one, please. And the name of this new empire, I told you very often. In inscriptions, it is always said that the name of the empire was Karnataka Samrajya, and the capital was Vijayanagara. And this is like this. There are about more than 30 inscriptions. There are about 4,000 to 5,000 inscriptions related to this Karnataka history, Karnataka Empire history. And in most of the inscriptions, it is called Karnataka Samrajya or Karnataka Rajya, and the capital is Vijayanagara. So I have given you one. Next one, please. I have showed you one, and here is the translation. While King Devaraya, fortunate king of supreme seigneur, was rising in power from best town, Vijayanagara. It's called best town, Vijayanagara, and the capital of the kingdom of known as Karnatadesha. So this is a very, and this Karnatadesha was in the Aryakhanda and Bharatadesha and Jambudvipa, etc. So it is very clearly mentioned that name of the empire was Karnataka and not Vijayanagara. So like this, we have more than 30 or 40 inscriptions mentioning the name of the empire as Karnataka. So now, and recently, ICHR had brought the collection of all those inscriptions in 2, 3, 4 volumes. And unfortunately, the editor says, unfortunately, we have to entitle our book as the inscriptions of rulers of Vijayanagara. But in the introduction, he says that there are so many inscriptions which mention the name of the empire as Karnataka. So for the forthcoming historians, before deciding to write anything about this empire, they should decide to take the correct name of the empire as Karnataka and not as Vijayanagara. Next one, please. In 1800, this Colonel Mackenzie, when he was going from place to place, and so in the 1800, he made a first map of Hampi, so the site map. So this, and you see now there are so many roads and so many buildings have come up, but in those days there was nothing as such, and so this is, and all this, and I'll show you in our map. Next one, please. So we prepared this map in 1981, 82, when we had a big team, and from the aerial map and all these things, aerial photos, we have prepared this map. And this is the nucleus of Hampi. This is the Virupaksha temple is there, the main temple and the main deity of the site. And this is Hemakuta, where there are many Shaiva temples, and Virupaksha is the main deity there, and he is called Hemakuta Nivasi. He is the resident of Hemakuta and Virupaksha Tirtha. And how this name is Virupaksha Tirtha, how we come to know that it was called Virupaksha Tirtha, because the Hampi was in the first inscription which mentions the name of Hampi. It is in the 8th century. Chalukya king, Badami Chalukya king, Vinayaditya's copper plate, it is mentioned Pampa Tirtha. And so people, historians are discussing whether it refers to Hampi or the river or something. So let us leave it. And in the Kalyan Chalukya period, this Vinaya Chalukya king, who comes, who halts at Kampli, which is a nearby place, and his vassal, Nalamba Permanadi, makes a grant to this temple in the honor of king. So like this is the first reference to Pampa Tirtha. The king visits Pampa Tirtha, and this is. And in 1199, there is an inscription in the temple itself. This is a whole complex is there, and in one of these temple complexes, there is one inscription which says that the governor of Virupaksha Tirtha, to govern this place, he was ruling from Matanga Parvata, that hillock, the photo we showed you. So from this inscription, we come to know that in the beginning, the place was called Virupaksha Tirtha and not Hampi. So, and it was a small temple. And then when it becomes a full-fledged capital, it becomes so many monuments were built. And then I told you about Virupaksha Ballala, he built a Vasapattana. And he chose this place as his capital, and for the residents for civil purposes, he takes this one. This is a little vast area, and they are little flat also, so they can build palaces and markets and other things. So this is, as it is very close to the Hampi, Virupaksha, so he calls this as Vasapattana. And so in most of the inscriptions, we get Virupaksha Vasapattana. So this is New Town. This whole is New Town. And there are ruins of capital palaces, and some temples are also there, and temple car streets and markets, and innumerable tanks are there, and aqueducts and all that. So this is where, and this Hampi, this fort, there were 7 lines of fort walls, and in 1565, after the battle of Talikota, the Hindu king was defeated, so the Muslims came and devastated, plundered something, parts of the capital, and they left after 6 months of devastating. And then the surviving Hindu kings who came to the capital, they wanted to restore the life in the capital. But there were two pretenders for the throne, and they fought amongst themselves for the throne, and there were two parties, and in anger, they burnt each other's palaces, and then Hampi was abandoned forever for 1580. Hampi was completely abandoned in 1580, and then there was nobody to look after Hampi and Hampi ruins, and this some Bairagis from North India, they would come and plunder the temples in search of treasury. And we are so lucky to have Hampi as it is when it was left in 1580. And to study the town planning and the monuments, there is no overlapping of new constructions. So we are very lucky to have it. And how we had this plan of the capital, it was there was one king, Devaraya II, who was ruling from the capital, Vijayanagara, from 1424 to 1446. And he told his architects to have a plan of Hampi, a plan of his capital, town plan of capital, in such a way that it should remain as an example till the till the end of the world, as long as the sun and the moon shine in the sky. So they planned the city in 1440, between 1424 and 1446, and how it was planned, it had remained as it was from 1424 to 1446. So it is really 15th century capital, a plan of the capital, and we are very lucky to have it for our studies. Next, please. So I told you these are the main temples. Here this is Virupaksha temple, and this is Hemakuta, and this is Krishna temple built by King Krishna Devaraya, and this is Vithala temple, which is very important one, and this is the Venkateshwara temple, and the area was called Achyutapura after the king. Usually the areas are named after the kings, after the gods which were in that area, but here it is only this one is named after the king. And afterwards there are some suburbs also named after the queens and kings and all that. So this Vithalapura is very important. After Virupakshapura, this Vithalapura is very important, and there were so many temples, and I'll show you this. Next one, please. This is the palace area. We have many palaces, and a king's audience hall and all these things. And here was the elephant. There was the elephant stable, and this is the elephant stable. And there were markets here. And Abdul Razak, he says that in these markets, the pearls and precious stones were sold freely. And people think that they were sold on the road like popcorns. But it was not like that, because in Muslim countries, it's very difficult to sell. It's difficult in selling these precious stones and gold and all that. There are restrictions, and he was very happy and surprised to see that these things are sold so freely on the in the market. And we know we have names of markets where these stone precious jewelries were sold. And another another horse merchant, Payesh, here attends one function, this Navaratri festival, this Dasara festival, and there were ladies who were there and who were doing aarti. And in South India, the ladies singly, they don't do the aarti. Another lady holds the hand, and he thought that that lady, she carries so many jewelry on her hands, she was not able to lift her hands, so the servants help her to lift the hands. So like this, they have given their interpretations, but we should not take them as historical facts. That ladies were wearing many ornaments and all that, but they were able to lift their hands on their own. The servants were not coming to help them. And there are tanks and all that. Next one, please. I think I'm getting late, no? It's okay? Okay. So it is one very important feature in Hampi that every temple, now from Krishnadevaraya's period, it's Devaraya, they started building the compound, the prakara wall, enclosure walls to the temples, and in front of the temples there's a car street. That I told you where Devaraya the first who planned the town plan of Hampi, and for many temples there were car streets, and he was the first to build the enclosure wall to Virupaksha temple. So in front of every temple. And another feature is that every temple has its towers. And this is one of the rare temples where we have 4 entrances, and each entrance has a tower. I'll come to this point next. So this is Virupakshapura, the nucleus of Hampi, and it is on the Hampi is on the banks of Tungabhadra. So you see the river Tungabhadra here, and on the southern bank of Tungabhadra, Hampi is developed. And this is Virupaksha temple, main temple. And the name of this Virupaksha temple we hear from the inscriptions right from 7th century. And when it became full-fledged capital, from 1346, not 1336, but 1346, because in 1342 Ballala III dies, and after 1345 we don't get any Hoysala inscriptions. So from 1346, and 1346 was the first inscription where the first ruler, Harihara I, he makes a big donation to Sharda Pitha at Sringeri, and he renders homage to Vidyatirtha and not Vidyaranya. So in most of the inscriptions, first the homage is rendered to Vidyatirtha, and then Vidyaranya comes. So you have this Hampi site is very catching. There's a river, and there are these rocky mountains, and in between. And so it is naturally it was protected. That is why Ballala III, he chose it as a capital to check the alien invasions from the north. Next, please. So this is Virupaksha temple some years ago, a few years ago. And in front of this temple, we have a car street, and you see these pavilions. They were not, they call it bazaar. It was not a bazaar. It was a Rathabidi, car street, temple car street. There's a difference between bazaar and the Rathabidi. Rathabidi means it is only for religious purposes. And bazaar means there will be commercial activities, give and take. So, so this is, it's very wrong to call this bazaar, and unfortunately Civil called it bazaar, and now everyone calls it bazaar. And even in your encyclopedia, we have bazaars. And these pavilions are there, these mandapas. They were meant for pilgrims to stay there. And they can attend the function. And even the king had his own pavilion in his apartment. And there were ministers had their own apartments, and we have inscriptions which mention that in such here lived such a minister, such a minister. And it was not a bazaar, it was a Rathabidi, and the temple cars were brought up to this building and taken back. And in the literature, up to the end of this Karnataka Empire, there was no name of Bhuvaneshwari. Virupaksha was the main deity. Virupaksha was in one ratha, put in one ratha, and in the other ratha, in the other chariot, this Pampa Devi, his consort, and in the other one, Ganesha or Chikka Pampa Devi. And there are about, I told you, 4,000 to 5,000 inscriptions, and none of them mention Bhuvaneshwari. Bhuvaneshwari was not mentioned there. And I don't know who started the story of Bhuvaneshwari showering gold upon Vidyaranya. So there's no Bhuvaneshwari. And till the end of the empire, no donation is made to Bhuvaneshwari temple, Bhuvaneshwari. And now she has become the goddess of Karnataka. I should not say all these things against her. Next one, please. No? Yes. So this is how it was Virupaksha temple in 1968. You see, there were so many trees and so many this one. And now it is disfigured. We should not disfigure our monuments, and we should keep them as they are. And Hampi is a pilgrim center. We should maintain it as a pilgrim center and not a dead archaeological site. Next one, please. So I told you that Devaraya the first started building the enclosure wall. Here is a trace of the enclosure wall. And then Krishna Devaraya added this wall. And as a result, this first enclosure wall was little bit useless, became little bit useless. But there were access to this one, and there were temples. And next one, please. Yes, just a come back. Yes, and this Gopura, it is this one, this tower. It is not in the style of that period, because in the 18th century there was one British collector in Ballari, and he took he had some affection for this site, and he used to compare it to Pompeii, and he had built this Gopura, which is very puzzling to the historians. First they were saying it must be Chalukya period and all that. But in Chalukya period, in up to the Krishna Devaraya's period, that is up to 1510, there was no custom of building towers to such big, huge towers to the temples. There were small towers, but they were in stones. I'll show you those also. And it is Krishna Devaraya in 1510 adds this brings a new element in the construction. And he next one, please. Yes, and yes, I'll come to that Gopura afterwards. And it is he who in his time it was introduced building Gopuras with stuccos and all that. And probably this is the earliest image of Pampa Virupaksha. And it is at the ground level. And now I'll show you how it is raised to the upper level. And usually, and this statue, some say it is introduced and maybe later addition. But this Hampi was was under the influence of Kalamukha and Pashupata. And these Kalamukha Pashupatas were very important there and very active. And they don't make any difference between Vishnu and other gods. Shiva, Vishnu, and other gods. So they worship both Shiva and Vishnu in the same temple, same shrine, or in the same temple complex. So sometimes we find linga in the front and the image of Vishnu, because for Kalamukha and Pashupata, Shiva is the main god, and all these other gods are Ansha. They are emanated from Shiva, so they are a part of Shiva. We should not make any difference between Shiva and Vishnu and Brahma and other gods. So they were worshipping all the gods. So since it was Kalamukha and Pashupata center, Lakula Shaiva center, so they must have worshipped there. But this is the earliest Virupaksha Linga in our opinion. What I am telling you, it is all from my personal research. It is a result of my personal research. You can oppose it and you can ask me the questions. You can cross-question me. Next one, please. Yes, here is a tank, and here are early Shaiva monuments. And here are the early Shaiva monuments. And this Virupaksha Linga I showed you, it is at the same level. So this so all these temples were built along with this Virupaksha temple at this level, and then later on they have made the changes. Next one, please. And then in Kalyan Chalukya period, this Kalamukha and Pashupata Shaivism becomes very important. And there was a tradition. There was a tradition to worship Mukhalingas. And for them, Sadashiva, Shiva is the main god, but he is too subtle to be imagined and for the worship. So for the worship of devotees, this Shiva takes the form of Sadashiva with 5 faces. So this worshipping 4 or 5 faces linga becomes very common during Kalyan Chalukya period, at least in Karnataka, I tell you, because I don't know about other regions. So, and in the temple of Virupaksha, in the Garbhagriha, in the sanctum, this Virupaksha linga was worshipped. And we get in the literature and also in the inscriptions that there was a linga with 4 or 5 faces. Panchamukha, Sadashiva linga was there. And usually they show 4 faces because 4 faces are on 4 directions and the 5th one is on the top. And usually on the top they don't show the face and they put a flower there. So this is Sadashiva linga. And till the end of the downfall of the empire, this Sadashiva linga was worshipped there in the temple. And after that, when the empire was fallen and the capital was abandoned, but Virupaksha temple was still under worship. And there was one Bishta in the 18th century, end of 17th century, in the beginning of 18th century, there was one local devotee called Bishtapaya. And he becomes a devotee, he was an alchemist, and he becomes a devotee of this temple, and he renovated it. And we don't have documents, but his descendant is there, and she says she has some documents. And it is she who wrote in her book that Bishtapaya, he removed this Virupaksha linga on the side, and he had installed this new linga here. Yes, this is new linga installed here. And he had raised the Garbhagriha also. And in some years ago, some 10-15 years ago, there was some Swami there, and he raised once again the levels of Garbhagriha, and he installed these lingas and new statues in the goddess sanctums. So this is the old linga worshipped by Kalyan Chalukya kings and Vijayanagara Karnataka kings, Vijayanagara capitals. And now this linga we are worshipping. This is Virupaksha linga. How from Mukha linga we have come to just a simple linga. Next, please. So this is they call this goddess as Bhuvaneshwari. But she holds Pasha, Ankusha. And Pasha and Ankusha are the emblems of attributes of goddess Saraswati. And these Kalamukha and Pashupata, they were giving a lot of importance for the studies of Veda, Vyakarana, and Agamas and all that. So they were in every Lakula Shaiva temple, Kalamukha and Pashupata, they are called Lakula Shaivas. In all Lakula Shaiva temples, we have an image of Saraswati. So probably she is the Saraswati, she was worshipped. And later on, somebody had concocted a story about Bhuvaneshwari and Vidyaranya, and she's pouring gold upon that poor Brahmacha, Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Vidyaranya. I don't think he received it. So, and some years ago, some 10, 15 years ago, that Swami I told you, they have created one Vidyaranya Pitha, and that Swamiji, he removed these old statues and installed the new ones. And even the priests are saying that these new statues, they don't have the same force, same energy like the old statues. So they put old statues by the side, and then they do this puja here. Next one, please. So there was a transition in the architecture, evolution in the building of temples. Up to Krishnadevaraya's period, up to there were 3 dynasties which ruled over the kingdom of Karnataka from their capital Vijayanagara. So up to Krishnadevaraya's period, up to the 3rd dynasty, the temples used to be very small and built from top to bottom to top in stones. And they were very small shrines. And in 1510, the king Krishnadevaraya, the king of the 3rd dynasty, who was a very prominent king in this dynasty. He comes to the throne and he adds lot of changes in the building of monuments. And the first one is he adds Antarala and then Pradakshina. There was no Pradakshina, but that is ambulatory passages for the temples. It is during his time this practice of adding ambulatory passage starts. And then he builds one new he adds a big mandapa to commemorate his coming to the throne. So in 1510, he adds this mandapa in the Virupaksha temple. And you see, this was the building of, during Kalyan Chalukya period, they were adding this mandapa called Lata Mandapa with Kakshasana and these double eaves. And in Krishnadevaraya's period, this Kakshasana was not there, and he makes it open pillared hall with the double curves of eaves and all that. So this is one of the contributions, the additions to the temple, and it's a contribution of Krishnadevaraja to the temples. And now it becomes, and during this period of Karnataka kings, it becomes very prominent and very important. And next one, please. And he adds one Gopura inside, and this building Gopuras, such huge, big Gopuras starts also from his time. And when he conquers the Odisha king, and to commemorate that, he goes on building big towers to all the South Indian temples. Wherever it was possible, they built. But in Hampi, it was not possible to have big Gopuras, so he added one small Gopura in the Virupaksha temple, and this second main Gopura, he renovated it. Till Krishnadevaraya's period, these Gopuras used to be built only in stone up to here, and little 1 story or 2 stories in stone. But this adding of the stucco figures and these in the stucco, it was not there. And it's Krishnadevaraya's period it is introduced. So next one, please. As I told you, Hampi is a living archaeological site, and every year devotees come there. Every day there is puja and utsavas are there. But every year there are big festivals, and one is the betrothal ceremony, the Nishchitartha, this Pampa. Yes, Pampa was given in marriage, decided that she should, Virupaksha will marry her. So it is a betrothal ceremony, an engagement ceremony, and so this is celebrated. And in the month of Chaitra, that corresponds to end of March or beginning of April, there is their marriage ceremony is celebrated. And for this ceremony, marriage ceremony, they will put the images of the Utsava Murti, processional images in the chariot, and they drag this Ratha up to that point and then take it back. And maybe in the 18th century, Bishtapaya had introduced many things, and instead of, there are 2 chariots they drag. In the times of the kings, there used to be 3, but in nowadays only 2. And in the other one, the Swami of Vidyaranya Peetha sits there, but it was not in the practice during the times of kings of Karnataka. Next one, please. So I showed you Hampi is not a dead archaeological site, it is a living archaeological. And this is Garbhagriha. This is a general plan for all the temples, but as we studied, especially Vithala temple, so this is Vithala temple, and this is Garbhagriha. This is in all temples, these are the 2 main elements, Garbhagriha and Mandapa. And as the kings ruled, and they added many new elements in to that temple. And so this is, and here is the second one is called Shukanasi. And many people, the architects, they call it Sukhanasa, Sukhanasi, etc. But in the inscriptions of this period, we get the word Shukanasi and not Sukhanasa or anything. And so he adds this new element. He raises the height of the Garbhagriha, and then he, yes, and then this Antarala, the new the second antechamber. There used to be, till Krishnadevaraya's period, there used to be only one antechamber, and now he adds a new antechamber, and it is that shows that the Garbhagriha was elevated, because the level of the Rangamandapa remained the same. This is Rangamandapa. So you will have some steps to get approach the Rangamandapa. And this is big mandapa, open pillared hall. And you know this Vitala temple, the mandapa with musical pillars. I'll come to that one. And then he builds this mandapa, and this is to commemorate his victory over the Udaygiri kings. He builds this one. Before conquering Odisha kings, he conquered Udaygiri and other chieftain, and that time he builds. And Paez, the Portuguese horse merchant, he gives a beautiful description of this, and I'll come to that one. And his queens added these gopuras, this one, and enclosure wall was built. And to commemorate his victory over the Odisha kings, he adds 100-pillared mandapa in the temple. And there are inscriptions. And in all the other big temples of South India, he adds 1,000-pillared halls. And only in Europe, the Vitala temple at Hampi, since it was a small enclosure, he built only 100-pillared hall. And in Krishnadevaraya's period, another new element is also added in the temple complex. This is sanctums to the goddesses. Goddess. And in the Agamas, it is said that there are some ceremonies, and the god is taken to the goddess shrine, and there will be a bed chamber, and they will put to sleep there in that. And it is always in the goddess sanctum. And that bed chamber, the Chaina Graha, it will be to the north of the temple. And it is mentioned in the Agamas. But in Vitala temple, we have something special. And according to the inscription, there was Adi Narayana which was installed there, so we don't know why it was there. And this Vitala temple was Krishnadevaraya's guru, preceptor, was Vyasaraya, Vyasatirtha Vyasaraya, who was a Madhva. So all the Madhva festivals were instituted in the temple, all were celebrated. But when the Vyasaraya passed away, and all the key posts were taken by Sri Vaishnavas. And Aliya Ramaraya becomes a very popular ruler there, popular administrator. So, and he was a devotee of Sri Vaishnavas. So all Sri Vaishnava, that is Tamil culture and Tamil festivals were instituted. But later on, it changed. So next one, please. So this is Vitala temple complex. The photo is not good. We have taken it from a calendar. So this is the temple, and in front of every temple, there is a car street like this. So this. Next one, please. I told you about Antarala. This is the new element added in the times of Krishnadevaraya. This is Garbhagriha, and the antechamber is there. And from here to come to the Rangamandapa, you have to come down by steps. So this is new element which starts in the, and the big tower, this is Vimana, this is called Vimana, and Vimana used to be added to over the Garbhagriha. Next one, please. Yes, and this is the temple of Vithala, I told you, and there was we don't know how the image of Vithala was in the temple, because the Muslims, when they conquered, when they became victorious, they came to the capital, and they did not devastate the whole capital. They destroyed only the monuments which were dear to Ramaraya. And he was very much attached to this Vithala temple, and so they wanted to raise it to the ground level. If it is raised to the ground level, means people will forget about Ramaraya. But in the memory of people, it lingered. And Vithala temple suffered a lot because of this enrage. And so we don't know how this Vithala image was there. But this cult of Vithala starts right from Hoysala period. The first Vithala temple is found in Karnataka, and then it goes to Maharashtra, and it becomes a popular cult there. But it started in Karnataka, and that is why in some of the Marathi Abhangs he is called Kanade Vithala. He is from Karnataka. So, till the Krishna Devaraya's period, all the statues of Vithala in different temples, he's fully clad. And during Krishna Devaraya's period, somebody concocted a story and said it is from Padma Purana. That story, according to that story, that one day the Shachi, Indra's wife, she goes to Vishnu's palace, Vaikuntha, and she praises him. She makes a big eulogy of Krishna, Vishnu. And Vishnu was very happy that another lady praises him. So he asked her, "What do you ask me whatever you want, I'll grant it." And she says that she wants to sit on his laps. And Vishnu says, "It is not possible in Vaikuntha." And he says, "So you come to, when I'll be born as Krishna, you come there as a Radha, and we'll have a nice time." And that's how Radha Krishna Radha story comes. And then Radha, the usual Krishna story continues in that Purana. And then he kills Kamsa, and then he goes to Sandipani, he studies, and then he goes to Dwarka and he becomes a king there, and he was ruling. And he was married to Rukmini, and Rukmini was his queen and all that. But Radha could not stand the separation. So she comes to Dwarka in the guise of some fortune-telling lady or something like, in the guise, and Krishna in a disguise. And Krishna recognizes her. He goes there and he brings her and he makes her to sit on his laps. And Rukmini gets angry with this. In front of her, he's taking another lady on his laps. So she leaves the palace and she goes to the forest to do the tapas. And Krishna, he enjoys some time with Radha, but he could not stand the separation from Rukmini. So he goes in search of Rukmini, and he goes there, and very lovingly he calls her, "Hey, you my foolish lady, come back home." And she gets more angry because he treats her as a foolish lady. It's in Marathi, Agaved Chal. And she gets more angry, and so she sits more firmly to do her penance. She doesn't listen to him. So at that time, Krishna, he says, "Okay, you as long as you are angry with me, I'll stand in front of you with my hands on my waist." And I don't know for what reason, he removes his dress. That is the thing. And after Krishna Devaraya's period, all the Vithala, in almost all the Vithala temples, you see the image of Vithala naked. Even though he is dressed, even though there is no short, he's wearing something, but his genetics are seen. So this is the story. And we don't have any reference to this in our Kannada literature, but in Marathi it has become a very popular story. And even that Vithala temple in Pandharpur, it was also damaged and devastated. And in the 18th century, they have installed a new statue, but that statue has all the dress, but his genetics are seen. So this is the story why the Vithala the images are naked after 1510, in the temple built after 1510. Next one, please. So this is in the Vithala temple. You see, this is the musical pillared hall, and this was built in 1554. It was built in 1554, and it was a huge hall with double leaves and all that, and double double corbels, triple corbels, and huge beams are there, and so. But to stand that weight, it was necessary to have the gigantic pillars. And such big pillars, it is not too beautiful to have. And the architects, the sculptors, they found the stones which have musicality. And they used them, and from the same block, they have detached these, they have scooped out these small pillarets, and then you see these pillarets, and they have made this beautiful mandapa. And if you tap with the fingers, you will get musical notes. And I'll show you after the lecture. I hope I'll finish it soon, and I'll allow you to hear that the sound of this music. Next one, please. And double curves. Yes, this is, you see these triple corbels are there, and such huge pillars are there, big ones. And it was necessary to have big pillars of big dimension, and it would have been very ugly to have such pillars. And they had a good idea about this scooping out these pillarets. And it's a quality of the stone. They are not hollow. They are not hollow. And if you tap with the fingers, you get the musical notes. Next one, please. And this temple, whole temple was painted. And this pious, the horse merchant, he said that especially this mandapa, it was painted, and these colors also, he says, their face was with crimson color and green color on their body, etc. And still we have these colors in some on pillars and other buildings in the Vithala temple. And this is a temple chariot, this stone chariot, and it was all painted. And you see these traces of paintings. And nowadays they just put the paint anything like anything, but they were taking care that all the contours should be in different color and the faces on different colors, etc. They were taking very care of the colors, and they are all vegetable colors, and that is why we have still some traces. Next one, please. This is Krishna temple and Krishnapura, and when he conquered the Odisha king, he built this one, and he brought the statue of Krishna from Udaigiri when he conquered them, conquered the king of Udaigiri. And probably, this is very close to Virupaksha temple, probably it was a Shaiva sector, and he had chosen this area and built the new temple for Krishna and installed it. And we have on some shrines, we have the images of Shaiva gods. Next one, please. This is Krishna temple. And yes, next, please. And on the pillar, there is an image of a king worshipping a baby Krishna. So they thought that in the Sanctum Sanctorum, there was a image of baby Krishna. And when they were, in 1880, when Hampi was taken for the conservation by Archaeological Survey of India, while removing the debris, they found this image of Krishna in the Garbhagriha, in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And now this image is in the museum. So many people think that it was the crawling Krishna in the sanctum, but this was found. And must be that crawling Krishna must have been installed somewhere else. And this image of Krishna, which was in the Garbhagriha, it was Krishna Deva Raya's period, and it was made especially for him. And he must have had 4 hands. Here are 2 hands, and another 2 hands he must be holding Shankha and Chakra. Because in one of the songs of Purandaradasa, who was a saint poet in the times, who was a very great saint poet, he was a disciple of Vyasaraya, and he says, to see the glory of Chaturbhuja Krishna, come to Krishna temple. So this is Chaturbhuja Krishna. And next one, please. And we have, these are the coins of Krishna Deva Raya's period, and we have the image of Krishna with the 4 hands. So you see these 4 hands, and so this must be the original statue, and now it is in the museum. Next one, please. So there is a discussion whether the image which he brought from Udaigiri, was it installed here or installed here? I will not go into the details. Maybe it was installed here. The ceremony was done, but afterwards it must have been installed in this small mandapa, and it was called Mani Mandapa. And because there is an inscription which tells how it was brought and what were the donations made and all that. So this must be the statue, because such a precious statue with all those decorations, it cannot be put, left in the open mandapa. So it must have been put here, and that is why this building. Next one, please. This is the palace area here, and we don't know what was this palace and what was this. And the Abdul Razak, who was the ambassador from Persia, he says that there were high platforms on which a scribe used to sit, and he used to write what all is happening, all the details. So this must be the archives of the period, and now it is burnt, and so we don't have any archival materials. Next one, please. So, and this is the gate built during Devaraya's period. This is first dynasty. So they used to be in small gates and in stones, and these are the gates inside the town. But when the outside, in the fort walls, they used to have such huge gates with zigzag entrances and the very sturdy ones. So there were 9 gates like this, and I just shown you one. And this gate had double zigzag entry and double doors, but it was demolished because in 1921, the British governor who visited Hampi, and for the safe way of his for driving his car safely, they demolished a part of the gate. So only this portion is remaining here. And all these gates, they have names, inscriptions tell the names. So this, in the palace area, as you have just an idea of how they were building. On both sides, they used to have stone coatings, and inside it is to be stuffed with rubble and sand and all this. And this is one of the biggest platforms there, and they call it Mahanavami Dibba, and King's. And how these names are given to different places, because when the British, they started working on Hampi, the Hampi ruins, and some visitors used to come. The British visitors, that collector of Ballari, he used to invite British tourists to visit Hampi. He says it is like Pompeii. So whenever they come from there, they used to hire a guide from Hospet. And that guide, he used to tell them, this is Mahanavami Dibba, and Krishna Devaraya used to celebrate the Navaratri festival here, and this is something, whatever they had in their memory. And and that is entered in the books. And for a long time, these names are repeated in the Hampi guide books. And now we have the studying inscriptions, and we are changing the names. And for example, in front of that Tiruvangalanatha temple, one temple I showed you in the beginning, that temple, there's a big car street. And those guides, they said it is the street of prostitutes. And there was no road for prostitutes during that time. And actually, they were courtesans. And they were doing the work of spies for them. And that was near the palace of the king, and not in front of the king, not in front of the temple. By the side of the temple, there used to be a road for temple dancers, and it was forbidden for others to go there. Only there was one person who was employed to go and announce on the road that such and such a lady should come to the temple to do the service of such and such a service in the temple at the time of puja. And this was very much restricted and very much observed. And those ladies were so rich, they used to make huge donations to the temple also. And each dancer's house was like an art center. They had their own musicians and orchestra and all that. So when British, they found that it is a barbaric habit to have dance and music in the temples, they legally they put a ban on this. And that is why temple dancers had to come out of the temples and make it a popular thing. So, next one, please. And I told this river is there, and on the other side it is Anegundi, and they used to cross the river by these boats, and how these boats were made, fabricated. And during the times of kings of Karnataka, the grants were given to these boatmen so that they make the people to cross the river freely, not taking any money from them. But formerly they used to take a nominal sum of 50 paise or 1 rupee or something like that. But unfortunately now they have introduced motorboats, which is harmful to the nature and the aquatic reptiles which are there in the river, and also the noise pollution. Next one, please. So, and by introducing that boat, motorboat, how many people are unemployed now? You see how many poor people they are unemployed. And everywhere there were tanks in the capital. And Abdul Razak, he says it was full of capitals and it was very well supplied with water, and there were many trees there. And this is one important monument, not monument, one of the ruins there. And this was a canal there. And there is a field here. And Archaeological Survey of India has put a board, Bhojana Shala. There is no Shala there, there is no monument. It's on the canal. And on the banks of the canal, you have these stones, cut like plates. And these were for the people who were working in the fields, and they could have food there. And there used to be running water here. And it was a very huge, and in 1880, also towards that, no, not 18, 1780, or so the beginning of the 1780, this British sent somebody to write Anegundi Kaifiyat. These are the documents. So the document what is in Anegundi. And this famous Cavalli Boraya, he has given them the information. And when they came to the Hampi, people told them that it is Old Town. They were not knowing it was Hampi. It's Old Town. And here the kings used to have festivals and used to dance with ladies in the It is not for the kings and for dancing with the ladies. And in the inscriptions it is called Uta the Kalwe, the canal for having food. And there was a tank which was supplying the water, and this canal this canal was continuing on the road. And as I told you, now in 1920 that British governor visited, and so they broke the canal there, and they have hidden that canal and made the road. And if you see in the map of Mackenzie, you don't see this canal road. Canal was there. And then afterwards that the water was caught in the earthen pipes, and it was liberated, and it was like a fountain very close to the palace. Next one, please. Now I'll just tell you 1 or 2 stories about this. This is one of the statue of Durga, I need not tell you. But Payesh, I don't know, it was forbidden for visiting Virupaksha temple, and he writes that he bribed the priest and he was allowed to enter into the temple. And he says that there was a statue of Durga with 6 hands. And here is a goddess Durga with 4 hands here, and 2 are broken. So this is it. But he says it was in alabaster. But this is in a black stone. And now it is kept in the Anegundi, so-called Pampa Tirtha. And here we have, this is from Vithala temple. And Vithala temple, when this beautiful mandapa, this musical pillar mandapa was built, it was financed by a devotee of Sri Vaishnava. This Udaygiri Timmaraju was a devotee of Sri Vaishnava. That means he was a Sri Vaishnava, and these Sri Vaishnavas, they worship Vishnu as a principal god, and they don't accept Buddha as one of the incarnation, ninth incarnation. Whereas the Madhvas, they don't accept, but for Sri Vaishnavas, Balarama is one of the incarnations of Vishnu. 8th incarnation is Balarama, and 9th incarnation is Krishna. But for Madhvas, Krishna is the 8th incarnation, 9th is Buddha. And they have a story that when he became Rama, he was only with one wife, and he said, it is not interesting. And when he becomes Krishna, he had many wives. He said, that is also not interesting. So in the 9th incarnation, he comes to the earth, and he goes naked in the forest, and the demons were making this yajna and reciting mantra as they could, and he tells them not to do this. And because if you recite a mantra in any way you want, you won't get the fruits of that. Yeah, on the contrary, you will get the sins. You will be a sinner. So he said, don't do it. And also he says, don't kill the animals. They were sacrificing animals. Don't kill them. And as a result, now modern historians, they think that the poor Buddha of Buddhism is the incarnation. But that Buddha and this Buddha, they have nothing to do in common. This Buddha is the son of parents, father called Jina, and he was born in Gaya. So it is all said in the Purana. So this Buddha, he should not get confounded with Buddha of Buddhism. And this is the 9th incarnation. Although the temple was financed for the Sri Vaishnavas, this Madhva influence is very strong in this way of Vithala temple, because there was the saint poet I told you, Purandaradasa, who used to sing, compose songs, sing and dance. And the influence of his songs is very much found in the temple, although it was a Sri Vaishnava temple. Next one, please. Yes, now I come to the very sad part of Hampi. This photo, I took it in 1975 because one fellow from North India, he came and he started a yoga center. I said, you should not do. And before he could do something, I took the photo of this one. And next one, please. And you see, in 1998, they were trying to build bridges. And the person who was trying to build this bridge, he had very strong influence in the politics. He was, and people said, you are opposing him, beware of your head. I said, I don't care. And so I was the first to inform the UNESCO that bridges are coming up in the zone of Hampi, in the conservation area of Hampi. So immediately UNESCO sent a letter to the India government, and India government told Karnataka government to stop this work, and then it happened. And so this one, and luckily, and Hampi was put on the danger list. So luckily, this politician, he got this the pillars removed, and now you see how it is, that area. Next one, please. So after removing the pillars, it has come. So this is the present state of this place. Next one, please. So such buildings, I tell the intact people, please see that no buildings come up, no new stuff. And on the other side of the river, that is where they were crossing the river with the boat, those small boats, there they were building this bridge, because this side there is Anigundi. The other side, this is Anigundi. There were hotels built for these illegal traders, and then again I took the objection, and I didn't take objection with the people, and I wrote to the UNESCO, and the UNESCO people said, Madam, you are giving a report, can you sign it? I said, what is there? When I give the report, I can sign it. And I signed the report and I sent it, and then they put the objection for building it. And these cheeky people, they stopped building it from Hampi, and at nights they used to build from Anegundi, this side, from this side. And again, people in Hampi, they said, Madam, they are building the bridge from the other side, and one day or the other it will be closed. It will be completed. Then, luckily, my friends, they said they want to visit again Karnataka, some people. And in my team, there was one engineer. And he said, Madam, this cannot be completed. Because from Hampi, it comes from this side, and from Anegundi, it comes from this side. There's a difference of some meters of this difference, and they cannot complete it. And also it is, and they're not on the same level also. But and when we sent I said, can you write this letter to me? And he gave a report in French, and I sent it to the UNESCO. UNESCO sent it to the Archaeological Survey of India. Archaeological Survey of India in Delhi sent it to Bangalore. And Bangalore, the Archaeological Survey, again sent it to me to translate it into English. I translated it into English, but nothing happened. And then in 2008, somehow they bribed the UNESCO. I don't know what happened. The UNESCO gave them the permission to complete the bridge. After 10 years, they started completing the bridge. And local workers were not ready to accept work there because they said it will not stand and our life will be in danger. And so they went to Odisha and Andhra in remote villages. They brought some poor workers and asked them to build the bridge. And one day, while they were building the bridge collapsed. And neither me nor the UNESCO people died in that, but poor workers died in that collapsing of bridge. Although Virupaksha, he is saved by himself, the bridge. And you cannot build anything there because perhaps once, long ago, once the river must have gone very dry, and some people have installed the linga there, and they said this river should not go dry anymore. And so there on the rocks there we have the images of Nandi. So perhaps there is a linga there, and the river is very deep there. You cannot build anything there. So, and it is a criminal if somebody builds something new there. It should be maintained as it is. Next one, please. And this is one well which was built at the crossroads of the highways. And from here, people used to take rest and then enter the capital. So this very few tourists go and see this. This is called Sulebavi, and we have a big inscription where the people were taking rest and how it was maintained, administered, and all that. Next one, please. Yes, I told you Hampi is a pilgrim center, and it should be maintained as a pilgrim center. And how people could happy to come there and drag the ratha, their temple chariot. And so I request INTAC to tell people and see that the residents of Hampi should remain there and not to be displaced, sent them elsewhere to live in some small houses. They should live there and see that they maintain the monuments as they are and not to make any changes in that. So this is Hampi should be. That's the last one, or next one? Yes, that photo was taken some years ago, and it is still continuing these festivals of marriage and betrothal of Virupaksha and Pampa. So it should continue. And formerly, lakhs of people used to go, and because of these changes they are taking place, now a few thousands of people come, but we should see that many people come there and see this. And there were tourism is a very big, very good industry which brings a lot of money, but it is harmful to the site. And I'll give you one example. In Hampi there is a museum, and in front of the museum somebody was building a cinema theater. And that time, CTM Kotraya was the curator of the museum. He told me, Madam, please write to the ASI that the cinema theater is coming, they should take objection. So I wrote to ASI, and M.N. Deshpande was there. Immediately stay order was brought. And after that, Kotraya retired, and in the ASI also some changes took place, and the cinema theater was functioning for some time. And now that cinema theater is gone, and there's a big hotel which has come. And behind this cinema theater, there was a small temple to God Vishnu. And on the queen of Krishna Devaraya, she had given some grants to the temple, and her portrait was there with her son and the minister Appaji. And now they have demolished the temple to build a big hotel. And now nobody knows about this temple. So this is tourism development. So now I think this is the last one, no? Yeah. Yes, Hampi is a pilgrim center. Everywhere you get such things of the linga, images of Rama, Krishna, etc. So Hampi is whole of Hampi is a sacred center. And unfortunately, George Michel wrote an article, and he said sacred center and civil center. This where there was the four big temples are there. He divided it as called it as a sacred center, and palace area is a civil center. But it's a stupid division. You should stop this one, and we should maintain Hampi as a whole site sacred center. You can show the film now, and I'll show you. I won't tax you anymore. I'm sorry, I talked a lot, and you all say women are very talkative. So, but Hampi is a big site, and there's a lot to tell. And I have condensed it and condensed it and condensed it. And I'm trying to put an elephant in a small pot. I've tried to put and I don't know how far I'm succeeded. And I'll show you a small film, about 10 minutes. And in the meantime, if you are not too tired and if you have any questions to ask me, I'm ready to answer you. Show the film, please. And this film is done by one of my friends. And IGNCA had made a film on Hampi, but that person who made a film on Hampi, he didn't want to interview me. So I am not there in that film. But my friend who had agreed to make a film for me, and she comes at her own cost, and she does this. And this is Achyuta Temple, this Tiruvangaranatha Temple. Yes. Tell him to go to the little further, where the temple and musical pillars are there. Why we have time? We have no time. Another 5 minutes. Pardon? No, another 5 minutes. Just another 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes. ISC has to close. They have their own rules. And this is Krishna temple, and here some new buildings have come up, and yes, here are new buildings, and this Jainas, they have built their monastery there, and they call it Ratnakuta, but actually in the inscriptions it is called Malyavanta, and yes, these are the buildings, and we have inscriptions where there are very sacred tirthas are there, and now in those tirthas have the water, but it comes from the bathrooms of these hostels which are built by Jainas. So we have to tell them that divert that water. Instead, it's of no use fighting with them, but we should tell them that divert this water to elsewhere and not to this tirtha. It is Runa Vimochana Tirtha, and it is said in the Mahatmya that if you take one dip, all your sins are washed off. So this is Vithala temple. Yes, and these are the pillars where you tap with the fingers, you get musical notes. It's not, we are not doing any tam-tam there. This is musical, the pillars which produce these musical notes. Go a little fast. You can skip this. You can skip this portion and you go a little further. Yes, these are the pillars and dupatta. It's so transparent. You can feel the fineness of the cloth. And she is wearing a cloth which was called Devagiri, and it was so transparent. It was so transparent. Amir Khusro says that it was as a thin layer of the moon. It was a special type of. This was a Dolotsava Mandapa, swing festivals of the god. So when there is swing festival, there were dancers here. So they have seen the dancer now, and you see all the accompanies, musicians who were accompanying. There's a drum player, and there's another drum, special drum which was used there, and cymbal player here. And so this was the place where dance used to take place, and there the god used to be put in the swing and play. Devotees were singing. And now it is forbidden for people to go into this mandapa because they were hitting with any thing. And in 1974-75, my brother who came and who did this. Yes, and you have to tap with the fingers there.
Small secret. तब मैं पैदा भी नहीं हुआ था. बहुत अच्छा लगा है सर.
Yes. And in 1974-75, my brother he came and he tapped with the fingers and he could produce this program, and he was a drama producer at All India Radio. And he had he broadcast this program, and then that time S.R. Rao was the director of Mid-Southern Circle. He saw it and he said, "I am educated today," and he immediately called up M.N. Deshpande, DG of the place, ASI, and M.N. Deshpande sent the order that two watchmen should be kept put there for watching this mandapa. But in spite of that, people were hitting the pillars with the stones and this one and that one. And now it is forbidden for the public to go there. And only we go there and we do it. And when I did this film, that director of, now they have made a Hampi Circle, and the director of Hampi Circle was reluctant to give me the permission, but others gave me told me, "You go and madam, you do it, we know you well." And so.
Thank you. Thank you, Vasundhara.
Thank you for listening to me so patiently. And
on behalf of INTAC,
and I think all of you deserve Paramavira Chakra.
Dr. Vasundhara Filiosa for taking time out to travel from Paris and deliver this very riveting and captivating lecture. My thanks also to everyone from INTAC who volunteered to stay back today for the back-end coordination, to all the members of maintenance and admin divisions for all their help and cooperation throughout, to Ms. Alia Rekhi from the Architectural Heritage Division for always very willingly helping out with the publicity creatives, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming tonight and staying on till the end. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And this document was given to me by ICOMOS when Hampi was written on the World Heritage List. So I give a copy of it to INTAC.